This chart shows the U.S. trade in goods with China since 1985, and for the last 5 to 6 years, the United States, which used to be heavily reliant on Chinese imports, began to be skeptical about its trade relationships, searching for alternatives and diversification out of fear that China might soon run the global order. During the first 6 months of 2023, U.S. goods imports from China fell drastically to 25%. In this ongoing trade war saga, Mexico saw a clear business opportunity, and right now, China is no longer at the top. Mexico has claimed the crown. The rise of inflation because of the pandemic, rising tensions because of the Russia-Ukraine war, and increased tariffs and policies created by trade war with China have all helped Mexico climb to the #1 position. You see, Mexico enjoys a strategic geographic location and acts as a transit platform to North America and Latin America. With the U.S., it shares a 2,000-mile border with 47 active land ports of entry, which eventually allowed for shorter supply chains, reduced logistical complexities, and quicker response times. Every minute, over $1.2 million in products cross the border, making it the busiest in the world. Let's look at some specifics to understand this better. The distance from China's main port in Shanghai to Los Angeles, a major entry point for Asian goods to the United States, is very long at 6,500 miles. In contrast, the distance from Ford's car manufacturing plant in Gemoliso, Mexico to Los Angeles is much shorter at 664 miles. It takes less than 12 hours to truck goods from Mexico to the United States. So, transporting goods from Mexico is faster and cheaper compared to China. There are many manufacturing facilities in Mexico located just miles from the U.S. border. This makes it easier for U.S. companies to move production to Mexico and significantly reduce the distance between manufacturing and destination. Goods made in Mexico can reach anywhere in the U.S. within 5 days by truck. Chinese imports would have to be flown in by plane to match that delivery time, which is not cost-effective. As an effect of NAFTA, Mexico has consistently been among the top 3 trading partners with the United States. Mexico's name in global manufacturing was built on what are known as maquilas, or factories, that emerged as early as the 1960s, mostly along the U.S. border. Because of its dynamic vast mineral resources, favorable demographics, cheaper prices, workforce availability, and presence of key parts suppliers, it was a lucrative assembly line production model. While it seems Mexico just beat China for its geographic advantage, that's not quite actually true. You see, Mexico has been always portrayed as a country of cartels, criminals, and an unstable economy with struggling poverty and poor infrastructure. After the arrival of the Trump administration, economic uncertainty increased due to his America First ideas and loud rhetoric, which called into question the U.S.-Mexico economic and political relationship and began to damage investor confidence. This resulted in a sharp depreciation of the peso, which fueled severe inflation throughout 2017. Internally, when leftist populist politician AMLO took the presidency in 2018, brought an additional layer of uncertainty to its economy for his U.S. hegemony. Despite all of the obstacles, people don't really know that over the years, Mexico showcased remarkable economic resilience through its willingness to adapt. Thanks to more than 25 years of Mexico's integration with the productive region of North America, the country has an extensive national network of world-class suppliers linked to global manufacturing supply chains. Since 2017, U.S. dependence on Mexican goods has increased, which exponentially grew following the implementation of the U.S.-Mexico-Canada Agreement in 2020. To illustrate, in the first 3 months of 2023, inward FDI in Mexico experienced a remarkable 48% surge compared to 2022. Notably, the manufacturing sector saw its share of the country's FDI double from 24% to 53%, with 5 out of 10 new dollars invested in Mexico during the first quarter of 2023 originating from Canada and the United States. Investment in heavy machinery in Mexico has hit an all-time high, over 200% in just 2 years. Across the border from California, you'll see the vehicle, aerospace, and plastics industries are growing. Tesla is already planning to build a new $15 billion gigafactory in Nuevo Leon's Monterrey, just about 137 miles from the Texan border, beating rival offers from Germany, the Netherlands, Colombia, and Indonesia. Other car makers such as General Motors, Kia Motors, and BMW have announced EV investments since the start of 2021. In Monterrey, dust from the diggers is everywhere as new plants are setting up. Warehouses are sold before the ceilings by multinational companies. Industrial parks are also playing a key role in getting foreign investment. In Mexico, industrial parks have become an essential factor for FDI because they offer quality infrastructure that includes urban works, world-class real estate, operating services, common areas, and an internal administration responsible for the maintenance and security of the properties. Over the past 2 decades, Mexico built around 400 industrial parks, where more than 3,700 national and foreign companies from more than 40 countries operate. Over 3 million jobs are in automotive, logistics, metals, electronics, plastics, beverages, chemicals, construction, pharmaceuticals, paper, textiles, medical devices, and aerospace. These industrial parks make Mexico a highly attractive country for global companies looking for the ideal place to start new production plants or supply chain logistics centers in a globally competitive way. This goes only to Mexico's north part. The south part is still untouched, but has potential. Public investments are emerging in the south, including a rail link between the Gulf of Mexico and the Pacific, which goes by the grand name of Interoceanic Corridor. At the railway level, the project proposes to modernize 309 kilometers of railways to the Isthmus of Tehuantepec that connects the ports of Coatzacoalcos in Veracruz with Salina Cruz in Oaxaca. Port, highway, and rural road infrastructure will be improved. Furthermore, there is a plan to modernize the current gas pipeline in the isthmus, and 10 industrial parks with fiber optics are planned to ensure good connectivity. This is a designated geographical area in southern Mexico that provides the conditions for attracting foreign investment and developing productive capacity in order to stimulate regional economy and social development. But can really Mexico keep the #1 position for the long term? You see, China has long been the world's leading manufacturer, but the pandemic, high trade tariffs, and rising wages of Chinese workers have caused some manufacturers to look for alternatives. Some U.S. companies such as Walmart, Samsung, Amazon, and Dell also have decided to move their supply chains to Mexico as an alternative to China. For some companies, the increased tariff created by the trade war was enough to shift. Meanwhile, some Chinese companies moved their production outside of China to avoid U.S. tariffs, while other companies sent their products abroad for processing, hiding their Chinese origins. As a result, some products once made by Chinese companies at factories in China now arrive in the United States from Chinese factories in Mexico or Vietnam. This allows Chinese exporters to adjust their international supply chains, getting closer to the U.S. and avoiding supply chain problems. Moreover, China is investing heavily in Mexico and augmenting supply chains there to get around U.S. trade curbs into the American market. Chinese enterprises have poured about $20 billion into Mexico-based projects since 2008, and about $8 billion has arrived since 2018. China's network hardware providers, oil drillers, garment manufacturers, and electric car inventors already liked Mexico because of its availability to natural resources and low labor costs. So, still the question arises, is China losing in any way? Some economists are saying countries like Mexico, India, and Vietnam are taking advantage of global supply chain disruption and taking a small China's share in world manufacturing, but will not fundamentally alter its dominance anytime soon. Accounting for 31% of global manufacturing value added, China remains the world's factory. It still possesses advantages that no other country can match, such as advanced ports, roadways, and high-speed rail, as well as industry clusters that can quickly adapt to changing conditions. Chinese vendors will keep dominating marketplaces for goods, whether inside or outside of China. Not to mention, Mexico's infrastructure is still in a poor state and won't be fixed anytime soon. However, there's no denying that Mexico's manufacturing sector is expanding and developing at a rapid pace, leading to a greater sense of resilience and a greater degree of competitiveness for the entire North American region as a whole. So, in conclusion, robust regional value chains are great for the United States, Mexico, and Canada. By working together, the three amigos can find areas where their country's skills reinforce one another and establish supply chain networks that are more reliant on local and regional sources.